scenario to stay in office, it won't work. And hopefully that's the beginning of the end of the global cabal that they've tried to establish with the Fed, the money interests, and the biggest trust fund set up on planet Earth, using your tax dollars through the IRS as the coercion arm. Maybe it's the beginning of the end of that. Maybe we really do have a horizon of deep prosperity ahead. Of course, there will be some chaff to be taken off, but that's what happens. There will be some shaking of the game board. That's for sure. Some of the pieces will fall in places they don't want to fall in. But I definitely see a realignment occurring monetarily, socioeconomically, politically. And I think that there's going to be a deeper resurgence of true American ideals that come up to the surface. I think that you're going to see more love for this country and more embrace of it. The true history of it, the things that got us here culturally, historically, and through the spirit of the people. I think a lot of that's going to come back out. The things that make America what it is. In fact, part of me says you might even see Camptown Races or Oh Susanna pop back up to the surface. And as silly as that sounds, there is something to that. There is something to where we were simply 3 or 4 generations ago. You know, heck, even a generation or two ago, and you've got visions of Lassie and warm apple pie waiting for you at the farmhouse. Not this degraded, corrupt brick society and concrete jungles that we see today with Beyonce wielding a Louisville Slugger to a vet windshield. No, it's silly madness. It's cultural degeneration. It's garbage. And the fact that you spend $1,000 a year to pump that into your house through cable television is stupid. No, I think some of that's going to go by the wayside. That's the chaff that I spoke of. The garbage that'll just get fettered off. I look up in the sky this morning and I don't see any chemtrails. I don't see any planes going this way and that way nonsensically, just spraying crap all over us. And for a couple of weeks, I haven't seen any of that. I almost wonder if people are getting the point. Like, hey, those aren't God's clouds. You're poisoning yourself. You're just, like, bathing underneath a shower of aluminum and all that other garbage they put in there. Just standing there, taking it like a double-headed shower for the whole town as it just rains on you all day long. When they start that at sun up and it stays and expands in the sky above your city, like for the next 10 hours. But I haven't seen that in a few weeks. I feel like people are more aware of it, and maybe just linking it with the U.S. government and those stupid programs they have that authorize it. Just shame the hell out of them. They're stupid. They're old, fat, dumb politicians, and they wrote that garbage in and they walked away from it, just leaving it on autopilot. They're stupid. They're clowns. But at the same time, guilty of poisoning people on the mass. And it's time to call them out. Just keep firing away. What are you waiting for? That's the whole point of this. I'm not talking here, expanding my thoughts out into the real world for no reason. It's all about spreading the knowledge about what's going on and just rifling it right back down their throats. They thrust it on us. Just pipe it right back. Pipe it right back. Because that is the way to stop it. It's not going to stop if we just sit and watch cable TV and enjoy our PlayStation 4. What would be stopping it at that point? Nothing. No, you have to just throw that on the table in front of everybody and make that the talking point. You know, this is the whole reason I got into this news thing anyways, because the talking points that I thought could be spoken about were not being discussed on television. A half hour would go by, an hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours of watching cable news, and I thought to myself, I feel dumber wasting this much time listening to this when some of it's very basic, some of it you already know, some of it you heard elsewhere, but too much time is spent on waste of time to view some of those news networks. That's why I started doing high voltage news, because I had things to talk about that weren't getting discussed. They seemed very evident to me, or common knowledge, or knowledge that should be shared more to make it common. And I just don't think that spending a half hour to 2 hours watching certain news programs was really cutting the cheese. Like, they just didn't discuss certain things. Or you'd catch part of a conversation, then they'd go to commercial break. They'd skim on a surface or talk about something, and when all of a sudden you thought they were going to have like a real in-depth discussion, go real deep with it, and like share something with you that you really just blows your mind. Never happened. Every now and then you learn something watching the news. That's just going to happen. Nobody knows everything. But I could see that there are certain things that were off limits, let's just say that. Or just due to the structure of it, where they always had to go to break every few minutes, and then for 30 seconds, and then, let's just use this as a segue time to talk about a new topic, and forget what we were talking about before. So everything's very superficial. Nothing ever went deep enough. And I can't say that I'm sharing anything special with whoever's listening right now. However, perhaps that wasn't obvious. But just due to the structure and the mission of mass media, I don't think it lends itself well to, let's just say, functioning and moving on and staying afloat and paying its employees. If they trash the administration or even mass media itself, they won't survive. They can't do that by pointing a gun back at themselves with their rhetoric. So it's just the way it is. It's the nature of the institution itself. But the worst thing that could happen is for all of us to just let other people guide this country into its suicide and stand idly by. That's the worst thing we can do. I'm going to bring us to a close. This may not be a super informative podcast, but I'm just enjoying a nice commute this morning. Enjoying a lot of victories for the Trump campaign because it brings hope to me for the future instead of the track we were on with the last three administrations. And to avoid a fourth administration or a second Saul Alinsky-ite, it'd be a third term for Saul Alinsky if Hillary Clinton's elected. We can't have that. And Sanders will take us down to Venezuelan hell as well, so we can't have socialism. Maybe one day they'll see. But I'm just enjoying a nice commute and want to close with The Sound of Silence by Disturbed.
Softly creeping through the narrow streets of cobblestone. Neath the halo of a street lamp, I turn my collar to the cold and damp. When my eyes were stabbed by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking. People hearing without listening. People writing songs and voices never shared. And no one dared disturb the sound of silence. Fools say now you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Take my arms and I might reach you. But my words, like silent raindrops fell and echoed in the wells of silence. And the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made. And the sign flashed out his warning, and the words that was forming. And the sign said the words of the prophets are written on the subway walls, in tenement halls, and whispered in the sound of silence.
Have a wonderful May 4th. This is Eugene Kleber Roundtree III signing off with High Voltage News.